bring the energy, he'll do the rest. Martinez Company. You bring the energy, he'll do the rest. Martinez Company. Powered by Sports Radio 102.9 The Game.
You're going to hear it right here.
The show starts now.
It feels good to see the world getting loose. Feels good to see the world getting loose. I don't know about you, Sack Noel. I don't know about you, Phenom. I don't know about you, White Shadow. I don't know about you, but I feel good.
Yes, and good morning. Sorry for the delay this morning as we're trying to get a couple things straightened out here at the Tampa studios. We appreciate everyone tuning in. I am Angel Martinez, host here of Martinez Company, and we thank you all for tuning in on this Football Friday as usual. The party line will start here in a little bit. Gas Pump Guy, of course, will call in with his weekly Bucks talk, which is always a good time. Mike Fuji will be joining us either via video or the phone. I already sent him the stuff that he needs, so hopefully he'll be joining us as well. Of course, Duncan Dad will be stopping by Bees World at 11 o'clock, and then he'll be on till about 12. And so we are getting the party started, as Penguin AZ already says. Good morning, fellas. Football Party Friday, yo. LFG, I feel good. Indeed, so do I, Penguin AZ. It's a good time to be alive for sure. And I want to say hello, more importantly, to my sister who's visiting from the New England area. As I mentioned to her yesterday, we were together that sorry for her loss because of her Yankees losing. But listen, for all fairness, I did pick the Yankees to win the World Series. And unfortunately, they came up short to win their 28th title. Maybe it was one thing. I kept saying 27, even though they had their 27th. But so they came up short to win their 28th title nonetheless. But either way, as Penguin AZ says, hello, Angel Sister. My sister is Lucy. So yes, good morning to my sister Lucy and my dad as well, who should be tuning in over there from the house out in the county. So thank you all once again. It is Football Friday here once again on the Coastal Sports Network. Don't forget, you can always text or call the show at 727-858-6650. 727-858-6650. You can always make the comments as well on the social medias, as you guys always do. And thank you all for once again being a part of the show. So today, the Los Angeles Dodgers get to celebrate yet another title. And listen, good for them. As Gabe was on with us, unfortunately, as my sister says good morning. I'll bring that up here in a second. Let me switch a couple things around here. But nonetheless, Gabe was on with us this morning. And if you guys, unfortunately, end up missing the part of the show at the very end, every once in a while things happen in the Matrix, but it's okay. No big deal. But nonetheless, to say the least here, as I bring this up, for everyone to see, as my sister chimes in and says hello through the text line here on the show line. So thank you to my sister for who's tuning in with everyone else. But as I was stating beforehand, and it came on twice. Don't ask me why. But nonetheless, Dodgers get to celebrate another World Series victory. Freddie Freeman, as you guys heard Gabe Morency towards the very end of the show, saying that obviously Gabe was born in California, but both his mom and dad were born and raised in Canada. So he is the first ever Canadian to actually win an MVP. And when the World Series had kicked off, the one thing that I said to my wife was that if the Dodgers would end up winning the World Series after that grand slam by Freddie Freeman, that he would be the World Series MVP, and turn out to be just that the case. Now, who would have thought the Yankees would have committed 3 different blunders in the 5th inning, and then obviously to have the Dodgers end up picking up the 7-6, victory at the very end. But I believe if the Yankees would have won Game 5, go on to Game 6, I'm quite sure those 2 words that we all love to hear, Game 7 in the World Series, it probably would have happened at the rate the Yankees were going. But it wasn't in our cards. Do I believe it was fixed? No. I don't think there was something that's saying that the Dodgers had to fix it. I mean, baseball, unlike the NFL, is completely different. You have 162 games throughout the entire season. And basically, you would have to put in so many fixes in order for you would have to almost pay so many different teams to be like, listen, we want you guys to lose on this particular day at this particular time. I don't see that happening, nor would I ever see something like that happening as well. So for me, I don't think there was a fix. Obviously, the Dodgers, I mean, listen, that team is loaded. Would they pursue Juan Soto? I mean, it's probably going to be right now. Bill Burt said it's going to be between the Yankees and the Mets. My sister asked me yesterday, she believes that he will stay there. I said listen, he's going to look for his final payday. Whether he decides to stay in the league for many years to come, like every athlete now, and you guys hear, me talking about it here on the network, like every athlete, unfortunately, he's going to be looking for that monstrous payday. Now, are the Yankees looking to empty out their wallets per se because they know they still need pitching help, just like the Phillies do? They still need a strong bat in the outfield. You still need a good designated hitter. So there are things that the Yankees still need to do in order to get the job done. And how good will they be in order to get it done, to go back once again? And I see some celebrities that are coming on social media and they're saying how much the Yankees blew it. I was upset when in 2009, when you had 2008 Phillies ended up winning the World Series, then you would think when they went back in 2009, they would be able to do so. But who shut them down? Yes, the New York Yankees, which was the last time they had won a title. So the Bronx usually doesn't go into, or they don't go into the night without a World Series title. But, and I've said before with other teams when Steinbrenner was alive, that they had bought all those championships. This one here, you couldn't buy. The Yankees have been struggling, like most teams, in order to find what they need to solidify their defense, to solidify their offense. And the Phillies are no different. They're in the same exact category. Will teams, the big question is going to be after today, once the Dodgers celebrate the World Series, we know come November 2nd at the end of it all, when it was going to be the end of, which is the first time we would have seen a World Series in November, but not being the case now. But after it's all said and done, teams are now going to start looking towards the winter meetings. There's a lot of MLB executives that are going to start looking around and seeing what the wants and needs are. One thing that Bill Burt also talked about on the Pete Shepard Show this morning was Mike Trout. And would it be a good fit for the Red Sox? Because truthfully, they could use him as a strong bat, number one, and as a DH. And listen, Mike Trout, everybody knows, he's been plagued by injuries, by a lot of injuries. And to say that you would get him on a discount, probably so. Would the Phillies love to get him? Listen, Bryce Harper tried to recruit him when Bryce was getting his big payday. And it almost happened. Unfortunately, what ended up happening was that the Angels offered him $430 million, which was equivalent of what Bryce Harper ended up getting in Philly. Difference is, of course, the taxes are much higher in California than in what it is in Pennsylvania. So he decided to stay there. Since then, he's just been plagued by injuries. Now, we all know he grew up and raised in South Jersey. South Jersey, for the most part, usually have all Philly teams behind them. Some folks they still like the New York teams. If you're on the Jersey Shore, it's kind of like hit and miss. Some people love the Eagles. Some people love the Giants. Why? Jets fans. Although I guess I can't pick on them too much for a day because they ended up pulling off the victory last night against the Texans. And the Texans and I'll get into that a little bit later on too from some of the comments that were made after the post game, but the Texans, from what we all had seen come last year, and I don't think if the years would have been reversed, meaning instead of 2024 being the season that it is now, you take 2023, and I think with D'Amico Ryan, CJ Stroud, you take that and put it into this season, then what's happening, that should have been the first season. So his freshman year, he looks really good for the Houston Texans. And now you take it into the sophomore year. And there's a lot of teams you always hear there's that sophomore jinx. And unfortunately, it's happening with CJ Stroud. Now, will it stay that way? Probably not. I seriously doubt it. I think they will find ways to win, but they made the Jets look good for one night. And maybe for one night only. I don't know. It's still, the jury's still out when it comes to the Jets. That whole organization is still dysfunctional. No one knows what's going to happen. And we'll have, of course, our Football Friday picks. But so there is so much to unravel when it comes to the Jets. But come next week, come throughout, the weekend, I'm quite sure Aaron Rodgers will go on, whether it be in Pat McAfee or wherever the case may be, and talk about how either great he is or how people didn't believe in them and blah, blah, blah. There's just going to be so much talk. It's going to be ridiculous. But It's going to be like that until the end of the season. The Jets will still not make the playoffs unless they go on some crazy, scrupulous run or whatever. But I seriously doubt they're going to be able to do so. Obviously, you have Devontae Adams, who still, for the most part, enjoys being with his former quarterback, but still didn't look that great. And I don't know how much Aaron Rodgers has left in the tank, because if you guys look, there really doesn't seem like there's a whole lot left still in that tank. But again, this is what ends up happening with certain teams. So the Dodgers, as I originally started here with the show, the Dodgers start off with a World Series win. Now get to celebrate out there in LA. Hopefully everybody's safe. Thankfully, I guess it's the day after Halloween. And I'm pretty sure it's probably going to be people with leftover, I don't know, Halloween costumes, whatever you want to call it. But it is the day after. It is also Fernando Day, as it would have been his 64th birthday. So kind of, how all the cards end up falling for the Dodgers. But I seriously don't believe that there was a fix. I don't believe so. So anyone who thought that there was some crazy fix was in for the Dodgers to win, so that would have been the case. Nonetheless, as the Bucks also get ready for action, we'll hear from Gas Pump Guy here in a little bit. So we'll get his take of what's going to happen here with the Bucks. They are going to be fighting for the NFC South lives for the most part, because you have Atlanta, who it's the toss-up between Atlanta and for the Bucks to lose. You also have the Bucks, Baker Mayfield, that could possibly be talking MVP talk. Maybe. Far stretch, but at the rate he's playing, minus the 3 interceptions from last week, could be someone in the running as far as when it comes to MVP talk. And then you also have, speaking about MVPs, Lamar Jackson, who missed practice for his second day for back and I believe knee injuries, meaning that he's feeling like some soreness. And listen, Lamar's still young. Unfortunately, he's also getting banged up too. There's only so much you can end up running. You can only be so much of a mobile quarterback. Now, obviously, I gave the Eagles some mojo last week with a t-shirt. I'm sporting out again. The Eagles should be the Jaguars, but Jalen Hurts also can't continue to just run around. I understand trying to scramble, don't get me wrong, slide in like you're supposed to get a couple of, extra yards for a first down. But at the same time, too, with Lamar Jackson, some of these guys, even for that matter, Patrick Mahomes, there's only so much scrambling you can end up doing before you basically get yourself taken out from the league. So Lamar, he should play. I don't see the reason why he wouldn't, unless the back soreness gets to be aggravating to the point where he won't be able to play this upcoming week. So a lot of games to get into. Again, a weekly pick 5 will be up. So you guys who follow along, you can do so. Over on the ESPN Pigskin Pick'em, minus the 1 week because it didn't register as far as the win-losses. But right now, Duncan Dad is up top over on the Pigskin Picks. So that's a good thing for Duncan Dad. But at the end of the season, as Gas Pump Guy also has been recording his wins-losses, we'll have it all wrapped up by the end of the year. Don't forget also, if you are in town, the Tampa Bay Sun Football Club is home this weekend, coming off a good road trip. So they'll be back at Tampa High School down there right across from, and I know I'm going to draw a blank, on the Hillsborough River, and then it'll come to me. But anyways, they will be back in town coming up this weekend. You guys see their Instagram that rolls up across the screen. By the way, all the ones that you see up there are video digital billboard, are all the partnerships and the networking that we do with a bunch of folks here on the network, including USF. So, and speaking of USF as well, the women will be match play again November 4th. I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Also, you can keep up with a lot of stuff on there. And this actually might be, I'm thinking Mike Fuji, when you can't, I'm assuming, can't come on via video.
No, having difficulties.
Imagine that. Imagine
no,
that.
he wants to see my ugly puss anyway.
Well, Fuji, it's good that you joined me here. Obviously, hopefully Duncan Dad and everybody else will end up joining along. But first of all, happy birthday. A couple days later, even though I made sure I wished her as well, but a happy birthday to your wife. She's now, what,
Thank you.
21 again?
Yeah, she is. Just turned 21.
That's a good thing. And then I saw also her sons had also celebrated a milestone birthday as well.
Yes, 21 to her sons. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. No problem. So we'll get into some football talk here. I'm going to take my first quick break because I know Jay's going to be joining us here from B's World at the top of the hour. So just hang on the line. We'll come back. Obviously, I was just talking about the Dodgers. Matter of fact, I want to get your thoughts here quickly before we go into commercial break. What's your thoughts, Fuge, as far as the Dodgers winning yet another title?
You don't want to see the Yankees or the Los Angeles Dodgers win a title, but I guess the Yankees got to wait for number 28 or 29, whatever it is. It's a shame it wasn't our Phillies or one of these other teams, but I take my hat off to the Dodgers and Freddie Freeman as the MVP, and congratulations to him, well deserved. They played hard and fought all year. Another thing is, I want to say good morning to everybody. I will continue to try to log on, but happy Football Eagles Friday and happy Friday to everybody. Hopefully everybody down in Florida is recovering well. And everybody's still going through a lot of stuff down there. God bless. It's Friday and, we all got out of bed this morning.
Yeah, we got to be thankful for that.
For another day.
Yes, sir. Got to be thankful for another day. When the good Lord wakes you up to have another day, it's a good day to make a good choice or a good day to make a bad choice. Either way, you wake up in the morning to make choices, hopefully all good choices. Penguin AC says, by the way, good morning, Fuji.
Morning, Penguin AC. Happy Friday.
So listen, I'm even grateful for Penguin AC, who always tunes in. He starts it off with the Pete Shepard Show in the morning and always tunes in from Arizona, and that's an early start. You figured it's 7, so you got 7:53 now coming up at 8 o'clock on the West Coast. But he gets up about 2 hours earlier than that to start listening to Pete and I, and I do appreciate that, and always the comments made by you guys. So I'm going to go into the first break, come back after the break. We'll start getting into some of the Eagles talk, which, again, Nick Sirianni is, I don't know why, just out of the clear blue. And this, I'm telling you that the man's trying to drive me friggin' bananas here, because now all of a sudden the Eagles feel that they need to put Nick Sirianni out there. Like, oh, look, put up his, when he has his meetings or he has this, like their press conferences, I understand that's what you're supposed to do. You want to hear from the head coach. But now it's almost like you have to basically put him as a merchandise product to say he hasn't really lost the locker room. Look what he talks about. You can say whatever you want to in front of the camera, which they always record him anyway, so it's not like he's doing anything new. But at the end, do we really need to see every little motivational talk from Nick Sirianni to convince us that he's still a great head coach? And that's another one. I said that the jury's out on the Jets. It's going to be the same with the Eagles. So I'm still not a major fan of Nick Sirianni. I think he's really become unglued. And we'll see, because, again, it should be a win against the Jags. Should be. But we know on any given Sunday, things can happen differently. So we'll find out. Come out Sunday and see what happens. We'll see if it's going to be good enough for these Eagles to pull off yet another win. Again, I'm wearing a T-shirt again, Fuge, to kind of give him a little bit of that mojo feeling. So we'll find out whether he's good enough or not. But I'll get into that after the break. Then Beeve will be joining us with his weekly segment as well here on Bee's World on Fridays. So he'll be on. I already see him stand by there in the green room. So we'll take our first break. Don't forget, you guys can call or text the show at 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. Thank you all for watching us on Pete's Facebook page, over on LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, X, for those who like to keep commenting, Kicks, and Rumble. You can always make your comments here on social medias. Don't forget, you can download the app also 2 different ways. One is on a QR code you guys see up there on your screen. Take your camera, flash it up. If you're in the office watching us, you can do it that way. If you're in your car, I don't want you to do anything but put on the radio app to make sure you're not distracted on the road. Or visit sr1029thegame.com. Right on the home landing page, you guys can see the website and the app directly from there, so you can download it. And therefore, if you're at home, you're working out, or you're going to go work out and you're just watching us at the house, you can always have the video player going when you get in your car, put on your Android or CarPlay, listen to us on the radio, and then once you arrive at your destination, pick up right where we left off and have the video playing from there. So we'll take our first break here. We'll get into some Football Friday talk. After the break, you are listening to Martinez Company live here on the Coastal Sports Network, brought to you by Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game and the Broad Street South Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Jim and the Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it Gardenia. It's pronounced Jardiniere.
Phil Castanetti Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Last month, you might remember Tim Thomas, legendary Bruins goalie, returned on October 5th. What a turnout it was. And now a new event coming up. On Saturday, November 30th, it's Willie O'Ree, yes, the original Jackie Robinson of the National Hockey League. He'll be signing autographs to the public, $25 each. There'll be photos, pucks, and cards available. Phone orders are welcome. Just call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance. care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Don't just follow us on the socials. Call or text the show 727-858-6650 and let us know what's on your mind. Now back to Martinez and Company.
I'm wide awake, and all the voices in my head wanna play. They're gonna take me to the place where the bass and all the hidden ways unfold. Where the noise and lights get together. I'm wide awake, and all the voices in my head wanna play.
All right, welcome back. You're listening to Martinez Company here live on the Coastal Sports Network, Sports Radio 102.9, of course, The Game. You can always visit the website at sr1029thegame.com. We thank you for tuning in from around the world. We do appreciate the love and support, as always, especially the followers. And joining me, as he normally does every Friday for Bees World, the extension from Monday and the Wednesday, it is nobody less than Beeve himself. And then, of course, Fuji's still on the line with us here. But Beeve, what's new? What's happening? And obviously, it's a big weekend out there at Michigan. Oh, I can't hear you, Beef. We're trying to get his mic hooked up. Give us a second, and he will get his mic hooked up here momentarily. Let's see. Let's try this again. Can say something again, Beef? Let's see if we can hear you now. Nope, still can't hear you. So I don't know exactly what happened, but we'll get Beeve to connect here soon. I'm pretty sure his audio was on for a little second ago, but let's see. Let's try it again, Beeve. Nope. Still can't hear you, buddy. So maybe I would say either end up trying to refresh on your end or something else, but unfortunately I can't hear you. All right. A couple of comments that are coming in. One is from Duncan Nettis. He says, good morning to everyone. Let's see, as soon as the comment comes up, there it is. Duncan Dad says, good morning, as Penguin Z, and Duncan Dad always exchange pleasantries going back and forth. So we'll get, Joe gets situated here in a second. Once he comes back, we'll be able to hear his audio. Nonetheless, it is Football Friday as we're going to start getting into what is the Eagles conversation, which, again, Fuji, this should be a game. This should be a game where things should end up happening for the Eagles. Sorry if I'm taking a second here. I want to make sure that I can see Jay, but hopefully Jay say something again. Nope, still can't hear you. Hang on, folks, and we may have lost Fuji. He's connecting back. Give us 1 second here as I'll play triple duties. I'm not too sure what's going on, Jay, but for some odd reason, I cannot hear you whatsoever. I can see you, but I can't hear you. I believe, Fuji, are you back on the line as well?
Yes, I am.
Holy moly's. Everybody's going bananas here. What do you do? Hang up on yourself?
Something going on. I'm good now.
Okay. All right. Want to make sure. All right. Well, Fuji's with us. Obviously you missed it. I'll have to find out here what's going on with Jay momentarily. But I heard him when he came on originally. Then he went away. He came back, but for some reason, we'll find out. We'll get some audio here from Jay hopefully shortly. But nope, Jay still can't hear you at all. Can't hear you. So just try it again. I can't keep saying it over and over again because other than that, a lot of people end up tuning out here. But see if you can just get your headphones that you were existingly using before and see if you can try it that way. But nonetheless, Fuji, while you're on here, it's Eagles Friday, Football Friday here for us here on the network and everywhere else for that matter. Nick Sirianni has been now put out there more than ever. And I think it's because people are starting to believe that unfortunately he has become quite disconnected with this organization. Now, I don't know why they have to feel like they have to organize, for whatever matter or reason for Nick Sirianni. But what is it as of late, this whole thing with him being able to obviously to come on, and then we have to see now more of him than ever, which doesn't make any sense to me.
No. It seems like he's, Kellen, everything's clicking. I mean, Eagles are taking care of business. This offense seems like it's finally starting to gel. I mean, Jalen's not turning the ball over. I guess, Nick's letting, not interfering with Kellen Moore as he was. But, I'm not saying this team's getting hot at the right time, but it seems like, they're playing mistake-free football, smart football, whatever you want to call it. But, you got to, you can't, hopefully this isn't a trap game with, going into Dallas next week. But, Jacksonville coming into the link 4:30 on Sunday, it could be a trap game, but, the Eagles got to keep their eyes focused. I mean, you got to beat Jacksonville, 2-6 team, Doug Peterson. Who knows where his, coaching career in Jacksonville is going to be within the next week, next month, whatever. But, 2-6 team coming in here, you can't take a team like this lightly. And, you got to just come out and execute like they have been. I mean, the defense has been playing lights out. Jay, they're running, stick to the game plan. Just keep running the ball. And, Jacksonville's defense is a little banged up along with their offense, so just keep running it. I mean, it's like I said, it's going to be any given Sunday. We all know it's cliche, but I think that was an impressive win last week. They still haven't scored any points in the first quarter. They scored towards the end of the first half, and came out and just took care of business last week against the Bengals.
That they did. I'm sorry, as I'm trying to give a little bit of an explanation to the other person on, not on the line, but obviously I'm trying to make sure that Jay is situated. But no, you're absolutely right. They need to me, this has to be a strong running game. It has to be. It has to be a major running game for the Eagles. And if it's not, they're going to have a major problem because, again, the air attack, you got to keep everybody healthy. You're down to basically the two, AJ and Devontae, and you got to keep them healthy if you're planning to even attempt to keep up with Washington, as weird as that may sound, because who thought they were going to have the type of season they're having right now? But to say that in the least, we also want to make sure that, and give me a second as I'm going to try and see if we have Jay here back. Let me switch screens, and then we'll wait and see what happens with Jay. So here it comes. Jay, let's see if we can hear you now.
Can you hear me, Angel?
I surely can. There you go. You're here with us. All right, so Jay's with us. Obviously on the line with us as well is Gaspam Guy. That I started to say as I was trying to get other people situated. So what's happening, GBG? First of all, welcome. Number one, sorry to keep you on hold there for a second as I was trying to get things situated here in the studio, but nonetheless, it is Gaspam Guy joining us here from Fort Myers, Fuji, obviously from Philly, and then from Michigan. I don't even know if you call it the Great State. I don't know what you want to call it.
Great Lakes State. Do that.
Okay. All right. We'll do it that way. But nonetheless, Beef is with us. So obviously we're getting a little bit of Eagles talk here, Beef, and the same way here with Gas from Guy as it is Football Friday, which is always a fantastic thing as well. But it is Football Friday nonetheless, as we get everything reset and restarted all over again. But it is Football Friday. With the Eagles, we're trying to see
Of course,
if we can pull off another win. I think everybody knows at this point that Doug is going to be fighting for his dear life as what should have been a successful season for the Jaguars has been nothing but that. And now the Eagles come to town, which again should be a win, but we will see if it does work. Now, we've heard about obviously Jalen Hurts scrambling for his life, trying to make plays is not there. It's week in, week out with the same nonsense. We're hoping that this week they'll get it together, as it looks like the Eagles are attempting. I'm not saying that they are. They're attempting to make a stride. So, Beef, are you convinced with seeing what you've seen so far from the NFL season, yet alone from the Eagles? I know you may not catch every single game, but do you think
I
that
watch every game? Sooner or later, I watch every game pretty much. A couple things with the Eagles. As far as their current team goes, getting A.J. Brown, Devontae, Goddard, and Barkley together, and they've done that the last couple of games, look how much better the team is. I also think Kelsey retiring, there was an adjustment period because obviously you guys been know about the tush-push play.
Mm-hmm.
It's been stopped a couple times. Going back to last year, the Buccaneers stopped it twice, regular season and the playoffs, Coach Bowles. So I think offensively, they're more of an offensive team. And then they kind of redid their secondary with a lot of changes there. And a couple of the linebackers too, Riddick and some other guys, Huff being brought in. They've changed a lot of their defense. The high-level draft pick, the corner from the MAC, I believe is from Toledo. They've changed their team. So there's going to be an adjustment. Now, the coach is still a schmuck, so that's part of our problem. But I think they have a lot of good talent. The division is kind of weird. I don't think the Giants are really bad. I just think, their quarterback isn't great. And sooner or later that matters. Dallas's quarterback, I think, is pretty good, but their team isn't. And the whole Michael Parsons thing is a mess. They should trade him. And Washington has really come on, done some nice things in the offseason. The quarterback's an MVP candidate. He's been incredible. So I think your division's kind of different. The NFC in general is kind of weird. I think the Lions are really good, and I don't think there's anybody else around where they are. I think there's a couple teams that are just okay. I think the NFC in general is way, way, way down. But I think the Eagles are a good team, and I think over the long haul, it'll be shown. The Barkley acquisition is right there with Derrick Henry as far as impact on your roster and your team.
All right. Also joining the party here, as we always do on a Friday, is Duncan Dad, as he is up the top part of your screen. If you guys cannot see it, he's way up there and doing a little Vogue as he comes on Fridays with us as well. Yeah. So Duncan Dad, as we're getting a little bit into Eagles talk, as it is a Football Friday, we'll get around to the other games as well, including even what the Jets had to say after it was all said and done, which I again don't know how the Texans. I understand they're banged up a little bit, and I'm kind of.
Angel, that the Stroud went there last year and got hurt, and They had a bad game there last year. They're a bad matchup with the Jets. Obviously, they're depleted at wide receiver, but they have Sauce Gardner, so he can go cover like Tank Dell, who's their lone guy who's left. But Mixon ran crazy. It's weird. They're able to run the ball great, but they can't pass protect. You have 8 sacks. Stroud got hit more than baseballs by Pete Rose. I mean, it was insane. I mean, and these fantasy folks like me who have C.J. Stroud on about half of my teams, I didn't play him in every one of my teams last night for good reason. But it's just you got to make sense of it. Again, another weird team in a weird year in a weird league. Both teams really. The Texans are better than that, and the Jets have always been better than this. Their kickers killed them, and their dysfunctional Charles Manson quarterbacks killed them. So it's a weird thing.
It is. It's a very weird dynamic. Duncan,
if you look at the Jets last night,
right?
Their 2 starting wide receivers and the running back, that's a really good team. Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson, and Bryce Brown. I mean, that's a good team. That's a good team.
It is a good team. They just need to get rid of Aaron Rodgers. And then they'll be even better.
But Angel, the problem is he's the coach, general manager, and owner, so he can't. He has to want to get rid of himself.
Yeah. Well, he's LeBron Jr. is what he's come down to.
That's a good comp. That's Angel. You just got, it's November 1st. You just got employee of the month for November. That was a great comparison. Very good.
Thank you. And as I always joke around, listen, folks, certain things you can't take to heart, okay? But it is, as we always say here, on the 1st, it's welfare day. I don't care what you guys can say. You can always laugh. You can always say whatever you want to, but it is what it is here on November 1st. But nonetheless, and we hope.
All Saints Day too, Angel. All Saints Day. Kathy, my business partner, reminded me. All Saints Day today. Very important.
True.
God knows I need prayer.
Yeah. And Fuji's usually the one that remind me. He'll wake me up at like 2 a.m. I don't know why. This guy's got. Sometimes Fuji can't sleep. He decides to call me like 2:01 in the morning. Yep.
Angel, the strip clubs close at 2 a.m. That's why he's reminding me.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's what's
all night partying.
Yeah.
Of course, my police friends are the ones who told me the strip clubs close at 2 a.m. I have no knowledge of said activity. I have no comment further at this time.
But I
thought you had your own like private seat and a couple of them up there in Michigan.
Can neither confirm nor deny this erroneous but probably true report.
Listen, I don't. But everybody to each his own, right? My thing is, I never used to. I don't frequent the strip clubs. One is if you start paying me to go there, that's a whole different story. But I'm going to be working my butt off in order to pay you to entertain me for a quick minute. And you're going to tell me anything I want to hear, like, oh, you're the best one tonight. Oh, you're so this. Come on, man, stop playing. But it's not like I don't care what anybody says. You can't have, like, for example, an all-male strip club because the guys aren't going to say this. The women are very creative, obviously, to do their job, right? Because it is a job. But when it comes to the men, it's like she walks in and you're quickly going up to her and say, hey, I watched you and you came in. Like it's just like every oddball, corny pickup line will be involved. And the women will be like, yeah, screw this place. We're out of here. But whatever. Maybe we'll get something from, maybe we can make a makeshift one. As Penguin AZ says, "Hi, Poppy." Yeah, that's most of it that you end up hearing. But it's true. It's the worst. Think about it. And again, listen, to each his own. It's like OnlyFans. For people to subscribe to OnlyFans, to watch someone, like you're paying them to watch them. I don't ever ask for a freaking dime around here. But yet maybe I should start doing that. I don't know, put like true OnlyFans. It's just
Angel turns to sin and All Saints Day. Pay only. There you
exactly.
Go.
That's the way to do it.
Number one, there's a market for everything and everyone. It's
very good
crazy
point by
world.
Duncan Dad.
And Fuji will back me up on this. The only time that those clubs are any good is when you're let's hypothetically say, a young 19, 20-year-old kid working in the city and they happen to have the free lunch buffet. So you go in, you pay your $10 cover, it'll show you
Hooters
club
used to do that. Right.
Yeah, Hooters just did that too. Yeah, man.
Yeah, Hooters just do that.
That's right.
But my friends tell me about
Economics.
Hooters. I have no knowledge of this at this time. But the
allegedly.
Yes, allegedly, yes. Allegedly is my cousin, Duncan Dad, if you didn't know that. So,
but no, it is.
I have no further knowledge as my other cousin.
We were all young once. I mean,
I do not consent. I do not consent.
There you go.
Listen, years ago, and I mean many, many years ago, a friend of mine was getting married, and we knew this one guy that worked in the office. He was one that had. If he took $400 to the club, you guarantee he would lose it within the hour. He was the one that he would walk in, and as soon as he said, "Oh my God, she's hot!" Like you just said that about the person that was standing outside. He goes, "Yeah, dude, but it's a whole different hot over here." And then you would see him like he would just be gone for the first half hour. Then he comes back, and goes, "That was the best lap dance ever." I'm like, do you know? 10 minutes from now, you're gonna say the same thing as soon as we don't see you again. No lie, he was there for it. Now it was a bachelor party / birthday party combined into one. Yep. So we see him an hour later and he's at the ATM. Like, bro, what are you doing? He goes, I'm up. Of what? Of money? Didn't you bring 400? Yeah, but you guys were supposed to help me. So I don't end up, spending more money. I'm like, you should know to curb yourself to be able to do so. Now, for those also who don't know, I don't know what it is today. I'm going back 15 years, at least at minimum, if not maybe even 20. It might be about 20 years. But you used to pay, it was $10 to $15 to get money out of the ATM at the strip club. So even the ATM is making money, except for it gives you a little digital dance like, "Ooh, yeah, hit that number. Here you go. Yeah, take out that money." So it's just, I don't understand people when they do that nonsense. Like for me, I'm sorry. I'd rather spend the time now, especially when I always do everything with my wife. It's so much fun because we do just everything and anything together, which is always a great time. But
Please
for
tell me
me,
you take your wife to the strip club. I need to hear this.
no, no.
First of all, $400, that's a lot of money.
It is, but that's what happens with people, though. It just doesn't make any. And Philly's got like a dozen of them, and God forbid they have the all new joints. Forget about it because it's the same way. I just listen to each his own. Everybody finds a way to do stuff. Maybe I don't know. Maybe between Duncan Dad and Beeve and myself and GPG, we need to I don't know what. So what's the one with the guys?
Chippendale.
Yeah,
Cave.
yeah, we're gonna have to make, I don't know, like Beavendale or something. Just come up with something creative and do something different.
So honestly, Angel, you bring that up. The best Saturday Night Live skit ever was Chris Farley and Patrick Swayze trying out for Chippendales.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Have you seen this?
Yeah.
Have you seen this? Because you know how good Patrick Swayze looks, and he's a martial arts guy. He's a dancer. He's in great shape, and we know what Chris Farley looks like. So they compete, and it's funny. It's awesome.
Yeah,
maybe one of the best skits ever. SNL.
Right. You could have comedy back then. You could laugh at each other,
awesome.
laugh at ourselves.
Well, both guys actually, Farley and Swayze, rest in peace. Both awesome entertainers.
Yep. See, here at the Coastal Sports Network, we listen, everything under the sun, football, Friday, strip clubs, you name it, it's all there. So nonetheless, it's.
I know where the Yankees are right now. They're probably at a strip club.
They probably are.
Either that or on the golf course.
Either or. I like them in either place. I like them in either place, Fuj.
So there's a bunch of other people.
Absolutely.
Probably
my Rocky voice.
Probably even my own dad, who my sister and I were talking about yesterday. He was the one that got me into baseball. As we know, he knew I loved the Phillies. He loved the Phillies as well. My sister, Yankees fan, but listen, I don't hold it against her. It's okay.
I'm sure she's crying still.
Now, since we got a lot of Philly guys here, and I heard Angel talking about this last hour, are you guys buying or in on the Mike Trout rumors?
To the Phillies, absolutely not. Don't want him. Don't want that contract. I'd rather throw the money at Juan Soto.
Yeah, but it's going to cost you more for Juan Soto. It's going to cost.
25 years old. The guy has power. The guy can hit for average.
No, Foods. Let me ask you a question.
Not playing at stupid pitches like this baseball club of ours did down the stretch.
Yeah.
Hey, Foods, let me ask you a question, and it goes for Duncan Dad and Angel too. Were you guys taken aback by what Soto said after the World Series, where he was very open? He was already talking about free agency and himself after they just got their asses kicked in the World Series.
And then he say he wouldn't take no less than half a mil.
Yeah, he said Noah said he wouldn't. No, yeah, basically what you just said. He was talking money right away, very much like Garrett Cole did when Garrett Cole was on the Astros. Remember, he showed up with a Boris hat on. Boris hat on, yeah. So I obviously I'm a Mets guy, and Steve Cohen could buy any of these guys he wants, and any of these he could buy multiple clowns. He could have every clown he wants, but I don't. It's kind of it rubs me the wrong way. The A-Rods, the Garrett Coles, the loser free agent guys I don't like. I love Bryce Harper. You guys should know this. Man, Bryce Harper's one of my man crushes. I love Bryce Harper. But he went through a good situation too. And he was going to get paid no matter where he went. And we saw what the Nationals have done since he left. They tore their team down. So he was right. He was right to leave. But I don't like these money first guys. Like A-Rod is the most obvious one, where he luckily he was able to get sold to the Yankees, and he struggled there for a long time, and is still an Olympic level pain in the ass. And I mute him every time he talks. But does this kind of spook you that money? Obviously, we all need to pay our bills, but this guy it just went the wrong way after losing the World Series. That he's already talking about money. Like example, Pete Alonso, he wasn't like that after we lost.
Yeah, no. You know who
first
else?
of all, nobody in sports is worth that money.
They're not. But the problem is,
the networks pay. The owners get all this money from the networks. As the Phillies owner John Middleton said when they went out and signed Bryce Harper for $330 million, it was stupid money. So, everybody, the highest bidder will probably get.
And that's what he said. That's what Soto said.
Sweepstakes.
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. It's it's a situation where to put themselves in. By the way, you know who also doesn't listen to A Fraud? His ex-wife. That's you guys have that one on a Friday.
Which one?
The first one. The first one I took him to the bank, rightfully so. Big dope. That's one dude. Listen. It's one person that grinds my gears.
I call him Avery because another one that was taking the needles. I don't want to get into it.
Who?
I call him Avery, not A-Rod.
Right. He first of all, you get this big contract. Oh, this guy really, he grinds my gears because you get this big contract from the Rangers, right? And then you turn around and sell your services to New York. Oh, by the way, Rangers, you're also were on the hook for 8 to 10 years with that contract while he was getting paid by the Yankees. So come on, man. This guy, the big gambling mistake.
Not to interrupt, but if you go back 20 years ago, there was a deal in place for him to go to Boston before the Yankees stepped in.
Yeah, the Manny Ramirez Nomar trade. The Red Sox were going to get A-Rod and Megloy Ordonez.
Yeah.
Three-way trade. Manny Ramirez and Nomar were going to go to Texas, I believe.
I don't care for the dude. No offense to him, even though I know that's not the way normally I'm saying it, but I don't like his broadcast. I don't enjoy his broadcast.
Anything about him?
No.
I would pay him not to be around. That's how much I can't. He just one of these. Nothing about him is real. Everything's fake and contrived. And it's so funny because he's up there with Ortiz, who's just there to have fun. And Jeter's Jeter. He's the same all the time. Like you could light Jeter on fire, he doesn't react. It's hilarious to watch, and it's just amazing how big a doofus A-Rod is. It'd be like when you watch these Sunday pregame shows, like the Fox one with Jimmy Johnson, Howie, and Strahan, and Gronk, and Terry Bradshaw. Everything's clean as a whistle. You can tell these guys go and have a beer. They're all cool. And even the CBS with the changes, back when they had Boomer and Phyllis Esiason.
Right.
With Coach Cowher. They're all buddies. A-Rod, he stands out like a sore thumb. He's in his own little world. And it's funny because you got Ortiz and Jeter who tried to kill each other for years. And obviously A-Rod came in the middle of it. But it's like so bad.
Well, yeah, because the one thing, and I'll get to Duncan Dad and Gaspin guy here in a second, but the one thing that drove me bananas is you can't. First of all, I goof around a lot when it comes to our different accents from our different nationalities. It comes from as far as the Spanish heritage, but it just one was I did not want him to get that World Series ring just because how much he ripped off his teams. But then he ended up winning the World Series when Carlos Ruiz won with the Phillies. I can understand. It's like I'm so happy, man. That's different because he barely speaks English, but then. Even when it comes down to as far as him with his whole language barrier, like he won the World Series, all of a sudden he didn't know how to speak English. And there's a video still out there. I'm still trying to find it to see exactly what's going on. But it drives me absolutely freaking bananas when it comes to A-Rod. It doesn't make any freaking sense. But anyways, moving on from A-Rod as we are now into NFL Friday. A couple of good games here on the slate this week. I think to me personally, Dallas continues to be in trouble. Atlanta should be able to win that one. I believe they're also in Atlanta. So it drives me absolutely nuts to see what Dallas is continuing to do, which is basically not that it matters to Eagles fans, but this whole thing where the Mike McCarthy, supposed to be a good coach, not a good coach. Then you got Micah Parsons, who's going to be out. Dak Prescott, who got paid. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever because they're not doing anything. Again, good for Eagles. And I guess good for Redskins as well in the NFC East. But Duncan, Dad, to start off with you before we get into and make sure I also get Gaspin Guy in the conversation as well. But Dallas, Atlanta, not going to be one of the picks for the week. I'll bring that up here in a minute. But what say you about as far as Dallas, the matchup here coming up with Atlanta in Mercedes-Benz Stadium?
I think Dallas is still on the hook for a show-me game, right? They're coming off of the game in San Francisco. We need to know who Dallas is, and I think more and more opportunities that McCarthy has to put something out there, he just keeps flopping. I don't know if it's receivers disengaging. I don't know if it's drama like you got going on with Diggs. They kind of squash that stuff in the media, but when there's disruption in the locker room, when there's disruption between a GM and a coach, when there's disruption between them and a quarterback, you really have to question where they are going. And I don't see Jerry blowing it up in midseason, but where I started this year out, pay attention to Cowboys, pay attention to Cowboys. They don't worry me at all. No matter where they go, who they're playing, they're not on the same page.
Hey, hang on for a second. Penguin AZ, don't even feed into that comment. Don't feed into it. Go ahead. No, we had listen, there was a Weisenheimer earlier on Pete's show, and then you get them everywhere. So I'm just letting Penguin AZ don't even bother with that comment. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Duncan Dad.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's I'm not scared of Dallas. Like I used to worry about that game coming up. I know we'd split. I know they'd be pretty decent in the division, decent in the league, but there's just so much inconsistency in that locker room, so much inconsistency with the coaching staff and the GM. They don't bother me anymore. I'm not worried about them. They're going to put up a couple points, but I'm fairly confident that Atlanta will just handle their business at home. They all seem to be on the same page.
That they are. Gaspam guy, I know obviously you have in that same division, you have your Tampa Bay Buccaneers with Atlanta. Atlanta with another win here, and hopefully not another loss by the Bucs, but now the Bucs are definitely going to be chasing after Atlanta for the division. But what do you think as far as the outcome here between Dallas and the Falcons?
As much as I hate to say that Atlanta's going to win this game, I really do think they're going to win this game. Duncan Dad touched on it. This Dallas team, it seems like there's a disconnect in the locker room somewhere, or, I don't know if Stephon Diggs brought his drama from the Bills to the Cowboys, but it just seems like nobody's on the same page. And I really hope the Cowboys do beat the Falcons, because that'll make it a little easier on us if we lose against Kansas City. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think the Falcons are a pretty good team, and their defense is pretty good, and their offense is pretty good, and the lines are both good. So it's going to be a good game, but I think the Falcons are just going to roll over the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think when it comes to the Falcons, but right now, Kirk Cousins, I mean, they're obviously brought to Atlanta for a reason. That was to win. He's finding ways with the team who barely established themselves, yet somehow or another they find a way to win. And that's what you need to do. As a leader, they brought you here for a reason, but I think Atlanta's also going to walk away with the win. So we're going to go into our second break, because obviously I can't continue to, as in the last 2 weeks, to make sure I blow through the sponsors who love to pay the bills around here and that we appreciate and support. So we are going to take a break. We're going to come back. Beef, I know at 12 o'clock you're going to have a hard out, because I know you have stuff to do, so don't worry about it. I got you covered there. So we're going to take our second break here of the morning. Don't forget, you guys can call or text the show at 727-858-6650, 727-858-6650. You are listening to Martinez and Company live here in the Tampa region on the Coastal Sports Network, brought to you by Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. We'll be right back.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
What's up, Southwest Florida? Chicken and Beef Guy here. Fort Myers, we answered your call. We're pumped to announce the opening of our second location. It's on 41 just north of the Edison Mall. And guys, nothing's changed here. The beef, the sausage, the breaded steak, our Maxwell Polish. Now serving you in 2 locations, Fort Myers and Bonita Springs. And don't forget, if you're having a party, check out our catering menu.
Hey guys, when you're at the counter, don't call it gardenia. It's pronounced Chardonnay.
Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts, is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. Last month, you might remember Tim Thomas, legendary Bruins goalie, returned on October 5th. What a turnout it was. And now a new event coming up. on Saturday, November 30th. It's Willie O'Ree, yes, the original Jackie Robinson of the National Hockey League. He'll be signing autographs to the public, $25 each. There'll be photos, pucks, and cards available. Phone orders are welcome. Just call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus. Be there.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class, let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him in the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Martinez Company. That request was done by Beef. Beef likes to go to the club on Friday nights, not the ones that we were talking about earlier, but nonetheless, she likes to go out there and throw his 80s throw down, early 90s. But thank you guys for tuning back in here. Martinez Company live from Sports Radio 102.9 FM, The Game, here locally in our Tampa Bay region, as some folks still call it Tampa Bay. But we shall get into now our NFL picks, because I want to make sure I get into that before Beef has to sign off to do what he has to do to take care of business. But starting out with the first game, we'll throw in the Denver-Baltimore game, and I will start out with Gaspam Guy with this one. Of course, Penguin Easy, Rick Marcus will text in their picks as well, but this one should be a really good matchup. Again, if you guys did not hear earlier on, Lamar Jackson has his back that's pretty much tweaked along with his knees. It's going to be tough to see if he's able to pull off a win, because, Denver, we're looking at maybe last year, might be an easy win for Baltimore. This year, not so much. Obviously, Sean Payton, Bo Nix are on the same shooting music and looking well. So, GPG, I will start with you. What say you, Denver, Baltimore?
This is a tough one. This is going to be a good game. I think I'm going to have to go with Denver on this one, just for the sole fact that Lamar's a little banged up. We don't know how that's going to affect them very much, but I think Denver will be able to pull this one out. Like you said, it seems like they're on the same page and they're moving pretty good. So give me Denver.
All right, Fuge?
I think it's going to be, a tough one. I mean, Baltimore just acquiring Deontay Johnson from Carolina, another wide receiver weapon for Lamar Jackson. Baltimore coming off of a loss that they should have beat Cleveland, but Baltimore's at home, Denver's traveling across country. I want to go with the Ravens.
All right. I'll go with that. Beef, what say you?
There are very few things on this planet I like less than the Baltimore Ravens. However, I'm a businessman. And no Lamar Jackson or limited Lamar Jackson means one very important thing. More King Henry. Advantage, Ravens. Pick Baltimore.
All right. So Beef will go with Baltimore.
I think Duncan Dad agreed with me. I saw that.
Rick is also going with the Ravens, so I'll wait for Penguin Easy in there as well. But Duncan Dad, you two are looking at the Ravens as well?
Yeah, I think for all the reasons that Beef just brought up, addition to Johnson is nice. Even a banged up Lamar is okay. But if you can just feed the ball to Henry, at some point that attrition against that offensive line, the defense line going on, yeah, you need to take Baltimore, especially at home too. Harbaugh's just going to slow the game down.
So you guys are all on notice, but Duncan Dad is quietly in the lead to be the Beef World Philadelphia correspondent. So that's and there's an NIL deal with Dunkin' Donuts in it. So that's very important.
No, that is important. I, too, will go with the Ravens. So did Penguin AZ. But I think, as much as I like Denver in this one, but I believe in what Beef just said as well. And then you add the addition, as Fuji had talked about, and all you have to do is just hand the ball off. And Derrick Henry, could it be possibly another 150-yard game? Who knows? Yes. Because Denver's been, at times, tough to stop the run game this season. So I think you might be onto something there. Next game on the slate would be Miami and Buffalo, which shouldn't be too hard of a decision here. But hey, earlier this week, apparently everybody heard what Tua had to say. Basically, not a fan of what everybody's talking about. Called them couch potato chip fans or whatever it was, his comment. And a lot of people care for this kid to make sure that he's going to stay healthy. But now you turn around, you want to go against your own home base. Listen, I don't know what Tua's thinking, but Beef, I'll start with you on this one.
I mean, I can't believe what you just reported and talked about from Tua. The Bills. I just have such little confidence in Tua and that team against that team. How many games in a row is it? It's the Bills.
13, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bills beat them like eggs. Bills big.
All right, Duncan Dad.
I too am gonna circle the wagons, as Berman used to say, and go with the Bills.
All right, Fuji.
His favorite team too.
Buffalo, hands down.
Rick also is going with the Bills, so I'll put him down for
Hopefully
that one.
Tua's not down after what Food just said. Yeah.
Yeah. Gaspam Guy.
I'm going with the Bills also.
All right. And I just saw, let me take a double look here because I believe Penguin AZ, I know he texted in his, he is also going with the Bills as well. So Penguin AZ going with the Bills. All right. That's pretty much a clean sweep across on that one. Yeah. I don't see, listen, dude, I honest to God, I have not a clue what's going on with Mike McDaniels. It makes no sense.
Angel, the good news is he doesn't know what the hell's going on either, so you blend right in.
All right. That works out. It's been bizarre with some of the comments and stuff he's talked about in his pressers. But that's I guess a show for a different day.
I maintain that he's trying to get himself cast as the evil villain in the remake of Miami Vice. So that's what's coming, I think. That's what he's working on. I think he's hilarious, but I wouldn't want him coaching my football team.
No, I mean, listen, and I don't want people to think because I'm knocking Mike McDaniels like he's a bad guy. He's a good dude. Obviously, he's really, really trying with his team. It's just, it's like throwing the cards up in the air. You're hoping to pull the ace out of the air. Unfortunately, it's not happening for them. All right, next game, which I'll start with GBG. The best of the worst, Raiders versus the Bengals.
Oh, wow. Excuse me. I think I'm gonna go with the Raiders.
All right. Wow. My sentiments exactly. Fuji?
Excuse me.
You got the Bengals coming off the loss against the Eagles. I mean, they've been scratching and crawling and struggling to find their way, but they've been in a lot of games this year. They just can't pull out the W's. Just going to go with the Bengals, though.
All right.
So the Raiders are just, in disarray.
They're the Raiders.
Exactly. Penguin Easy also going with the Bengals. I'm pretty sure Rick will text me in his pick there. Duncan Dad.
I'm going to go with the Bengals.
All right. So Duncan Dad's going with the Bengals. I'm pretty sure it's a no-brainer with Beef.
Well, I have no brains, but even I know enough to take Burrow on the Bengals here.
Got you on that one. Rick, I believe, just texted in. Yep, he's also going with the Bengals as well. Yeah, I don't see, sorry, Vegas, but I just don't see him pulling off the win. Vegas is going to have to figure out. I mean, listen, the good thing going for the Raiders are you guys have TB12. That's the good thing that you guys have going for you is right now. But
footballers.
Yeah, but the ironic thing in this whole situation was that the players wanted to keep the head coach, which they did. They got their wish. I don't know what's going on. I don't know if these guys are gambling or the whole thing with Kansas City coming there as the first host team for.
So I have a quick question for the entire panel.
Okay.
Can somebody please explain to me again why they had to get rid of Derek Carr?
That's a really good question. I'll toss that one up.
Good questions, Angel. I only ask good questions, Angel.
That's good though. That's a good thing. I'll toss that up there to Duncan Dad.
I think they figured that AOC was going to be the second coming of Brock Purdy.
Good.
And they put a little bit of too much clout on his name. They figured they didn't want to turn around and pay Carr with his prior little knee injury, so he goes over to New Orleans, craps the bed over there. But honestly, when you have a competent,
he's a good player with the Raiders,
Pro Bowl quarterback, you keep him there. Especially when you have a big name wide receiver like Devontae Adams that you poach away from the Bengals, from the Packers, and you pay him money.
To play with the Raiders because of Derek Carr, his buddy from college.
Exactly right. So you put the buddies together, BFFs, they're playing ball, and then you figure, look ahead to this season, right? You put Bowers into that mix. Carr loves having a decent tight end. So maybe that changes the whole.
The Massey guy, right? The other guy.
Massey.
End, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just stupid. No plan, no organization, no nothing.
Nope.
That's top down, man. That's top down.
Best thing is they brought in my buddy, but he's looking at that roster, and when TB's looking at the roster, this is what he does.
Yeah, pretty much. You're not kidding.
I mean, that's what he does when he looks at the roster.
I think once obviously the NFL season is over, he doesn't have to worry about his broadcast duties. I know he's limited because, anybody can say whatever they want to. When it comes down to it, even though, quote unquote, he is a minority owner, no one thinks Tom Brady as a minority anything. Everything is always done with majority rules. So there's going to be a lot of influence done by him during the offseason. Not saying that there isn't any now, but the only thing I think that we're all waiting for to see is that will Belichick end up with the Raiders? That would be
no, he will be your coach, but the Raiders will get Shedeur Sanders.
Now listen, I wouldn't mind it whatsoever. I guess I wouldn't mind it. We'll see what ends up happening. It would just be, I mean, I don't know. I want to see what's going to happen. I don't think Nick survives yet another year. But again, stranger things continue to happen. Stranger things will end up happening. So we shall.
Question: when's the last time the Eagles fired a coach in the middle of the season?
Chip Kelly.
Chip Kelly.
No, it was towards the very end, really.
Yep.
Yeah, it was at the end. It was like
Okay, and who was the interim coach? Who was the interim coach for Chip Kelly?
Pat Shermer.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Ex-Michigan State guy.
Yeah. All right. Next game, before we get leave the exit on out of here, we have the Redskins against the Giants. Now, Jaden Daniels said that this team, meaning the Giants, when they first start off in the beginning part of the season, is a complete different team than what we're seeing right now. And I would have to agree. I mean, the Giants are not trying to throw every single game, and they're not doing that on purpose. I don't want anybody taking this out of freaking context. But the Giants are starting to find ways to come around. It's bound to happen. So I'll start out with, I know Gaspam guy had to jump off the line there, so I'll get his a little bit later on. But Duncan, Dad, I'll start with you with when it comes to between the Redskins and the Giants.
You take the Commanders.
All right. Jay?
Where is the game?
It would be in New York.
Okay, the Giants score less than a priest in a whorehouse in their own building. So let's go with the Commanders. But everything you just said about the Giants just being a lot better team, and they have a great pass rush. So keep an eye on the Jaden Daniels getting hit by that pass rush of the Giants. They've been playing a lot better.
There was some crazy stat about the Giants not having a passing touchdown at MetLife. Yeah. Did you ever see this?
Yes.
It's like a little over a year and a half or something like that. Like Daniel Jones hasn't thrown a touchdown at MetLife.
Yeah.
Who hasn't? I'm sorry.
Yeah. Daniel Jones. Like he hasn't thrown a touchdown at MetLife in like a year and a half.
And there's been a couple trick play guys who have done it. There's been some trick play guys who've done it. Yeah, that's. By the way, I don't think Daniel Jones is that bad. Their offensive line was good, and then the left tackle got hurt. Go ahead, Duncan.
Yeah, so not to run too long, but we had this conversation, I think, the last time on the program about development of young quarterbacks. And Jones, I always thought coming out of that draft, that he had the potential to be one of the better quarterbacks, if not the best quarterback out of that draft, because
a lot like Josh Allen.
Starter, yeah, exactly. 4-year starter, just like Allen, was running a pro-style offense. He was mature. But again, that's that whole caveat of you go to a team that is not built for you, unless you're a guy like Peyton Manning that's going to get the crap beat out of him, which I know you're not a big Peyton Manning fan, you're not going to overcome that, no matter how much talent you have, how seasoned you are.
Duncan, I love playing Peyton Manning when Tom Brady's my quarterback, but that's the thing. No, you're right. And getting overextended, we've seen a lot of these guys, Sam Darnold, Baker Mayfield, to a lesser extent, Geno Smith, gone to other teams after they've been, quote, washed out. And Kirk Cousins is another one. So, I mean, it's interesting. These guys go from bad teams. Imagine the Browns right now if they kept Baker Mayfield. I mean, and they didn't have to do the Deshaun Watson trade.
Correct. I thought and call me crazy, I thought Baker Mayfield would be the one to take him to the Super Bowl, but they had other plans. They figured out that they wanted Deshaun Watson. It hasn't worked out too well for him. I don't know how many parlors they had to visit in order to make it happen, but hey, that's neither here, I guess, nor there. But Fuji, and I'll get to Joey B. I'll see your comments. I'll get to you momentarily. But Fuji, what's your pick there between obviously the Redskins and the Giants?
Well, first of all, I know I'm going to be burned at the stake saying this, Jay, but the priest will have a better chance of scoring a whorehouse than Danny Dimes.
Oh, jeez.
I'm just going to Washington. Straight
up. Only $500 for the copyrights. Continue. Go ahead. I'm kidding.
All right. Well, The comparisons, I guess, are coming in dime a dozen. Let me get to Joey B's
Get
commentary.
all my lines from travel sport buses, by the way. This is where I get all my lines from travel sports buses when I was a kid.
Oh, nice. Joey B says, tuning in late this morning. Apologies, fellas. Damn Commerce calls us AM. No worries.
No soup 1 year, Joey. No soup 1 year.
Yeah, exactly. Penguin AZ, by the way, says, good morning, Joey B. Joey B follows up with, J equals the old school bouncer at a college bar that you're scared of while in college, but after a few conversations, he's got your back. So
no comment, but Joey is a tremendous poster.
That he is. He definitely is. Joey B also follows up with Penguin AZ. I already got your Commanders one, so I got that in there. He says, Fuji, I'm about to burn all my Giants gear. Well, look at that.
By the way, if you haven't heard, they're coming to get me after my priest comments.
Apparently.
On All Saints Day, they're coming to get me.
It's funny how, like, some of the stuff that's, like, by the way, that was not a sound effect, but it's been funny when Beav and I are together, there's certain topics that we'll talk about, and then cue in the sirens. It's almost like they're waiting outside.
Coming by right now.
There you go. There's another one.
Joey B is the new king of the one-liners, taking over for Henny Youngman from Goodfellas.
Joey B's always got great one-liners. I would imagine, like, I know he coaches his son in hockey. I would love to end up being there because I'm pretty sure it might be two different people because obviously it's a whole different. But could you imagine him talking to a kid? It's like the one, I got to find a video maybe for the next one here, where that one dad that coaches Little League Baseball, and he walks up to the kid and basically, he gives him the facts. Like, he doesn't sugarcoat anything. Like, hey, what happened? You showed up yesterday and we're playing today? I mean, it's like the best thing freaking ever. So I'll find it, maybe bring it up for the Monday show so everybody kind of follows along with that one. By the way, Joey B follows up with Jay on an episode of Cops with the sound in the background.
What you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come for you, bad boys?
Exactly. All right.
Bad boys.
We're going to get into the, hold on. We got one more pick to get in before the heart out here from B. But Joey B says, I got one line for all my kids. I coach on the ice. It's hockey. Kids love the nicknames that I give them. So that's good, though. It would be a great time with Joey B out there in Colorado. So nonetheless, we have our final pick here before Jay's heart out. So Beav, I'll go with you with this one. Tampa, KC.
Oh, you're gonna make me pick against the Bucks with my hat on?
Yeah.
You know what? Let's shock the world.
All right.
Let's take the Bucks.
All righty. Listen, you never know. It could happen again.
Hey, some women go out on dates with me. Things happen. I mean,
well, it's Monday night. Anything can happen unless there's a crazy injury report that happens. But the Chiefs are due to lose one. They are due to lose one. So we shall see. Duncan Dad.
Yeah, they're due to lose one, but they're not due to lose one to Tampa at home on Monday night.
All right. Fuji.
I hate to go against the grain, fellas, in Tampa Bay down there, but I have to go with the Chiefs. They're at home. Godwin's out for the year. Mike Evans.
Yeah, Mike Evans won't be back until. Go ahead, Fuji.
I'm going Kansas City.
Well, I mean, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We'll wait for, obviously, Rick and then Penguin AZ for their picks as well. Later on, I'll get it from Gaspam Guy. But this is a tough one. It's a Monday nighter. Obviously, Tampa Bay it needs to stay in the hunt with Atlanta. Atlanta 5-3, Tampa Bay 4-4. They need to stay in there. This is a tough call because, yeah, you don't – unless KC has a really bad – you know what? I'm just going to go with Beef. I think maybe, and I'm already going to put Gaspam Guy because he's not going to go against the grain with his own team. But I'm going to, same way with you, Beef. I'm going to throw a shot, at least a dart on the board. Hopefully it hits, bullseye. It might hit 20, who knows? But it could be a possibility. The Bucks could surprise a lot of folks. And if that's the case, obviously it'd be a whole different story. So those are the picks of the week. And I guess if I had to throw... Normally, I throw a bonus. I'm not going to throw the Eagles game. That'd be almost a little bit too easy.
I'll stay for like 5 minutes. You got me. You're good. Keep going.
All right. I believe Penguin. Let me bring up Penguin ACs because I believe he did have KC. So Penguin AZ going with Kansas City. So that's pretty much dead even there for that game. All right. Let's see. bonus game of the week, because this could be a toss-up layup. Do I want the best of the worst or a team that, you know what? I'll go with Chicago, Arizona, since the Bears fans.
Really good game to pick. Good call, Angel.
That one, it's going to be, so I'll throw up the Chicago, Arizona as our bonus one of the week here. Listen, Bears fans obviously are very, very distraught to see what okay. Until the game hits double zeros, all that showboating, all that nonsense that went on, and I'm pretty sure Tyreek had a major, major talking to because it was just silly. That was the highlight of the week from the NFL week. And I haven't brought up Annie Agar yet to see what she had to say about it. But this one here, I would have to, I mean, for both teams, it's a must win. More importantly for Chicago to stay relevant there in the NFC North. But I'll start out with Fuji. I'll start with you. Arizona, Chicago. What say you?
Well, I mean, the Bears coming off that emotional Hail Mary last week. I'm to stick with the Bears.
All right. Beeve?
I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I think the Bears are in trouble, and they probably should have cut that guy who screwed up to make an example of him.
They should have. And he would have, it would have been rightfully deserved because no matter what ends up happening.
It's a football game.
Yep. Penguin AZ, as he mentions up there, he says, Cardinals never go for the Bears, which I know my lovely wife will continue with her Bears. She makes me laugh because as we're watching the game, she'll pull up the comments from her friends that are posting stuff up on the different socials. And not even her friends, but just Bears fans in general, because they're upset with what's going on. But again, I've been saying about Matt Eberflus, you guys can say, whatever you want to. I just believe that he shouldn't be up there no matter what. Before I get to Duncan Dad here, Joey B says two things. He goes, Angel in 2025, orange and white background will freshen up the studio. Nah, I don't know. Possibly. It could happen, but who knows? And then he follows up with AZ Cardinals, Trey McBride, Colorado State alum and great local family here in Greeley, Colorado.
Stud tight end. He's really good.
Duncan Dad, Bears, Cardinals, you.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals.
All right. Me personally, I think the Bears should be able to squeeze it out. So I will, not only because I support my wife as she supports me with my Eagles, I will go with also the Bears. And we already got
Angel, is your wife a Cubs or a White Sox fan?
White Sox all day.
Oh, that poor woman.
Yeah.
Better taste in men than her baseball team.
and I will take that one as a compliment. But yeah, no, listen. Her sister and brother-in-law are Cubs fans. The other immediate family members are also Cubs fans. But she's believing in the White Sox, believes in the South Side, along with her two sons as well. So they are White Sox fans. I can't believe that. I mean, I don't know. I guess with Will Venable, I mean, it could have been somewhat worse, but hopefully he's learned a lot while he was down there in Texas to be able to now be the skipper for the White Sox. I don't know how much of a major difference is going to happen because he's going to be working with a zero budget. Zero.
Yep.
And that's going to be hard. I mean, you're bringing in a guy that hopefully is going to be able to take this team somewhat into a good season, but you have nothing. You basically have the roster that you have, whatever you have left over from the farm system, which they've depleted with goofy trades that they've been able to do throughout the years. So now it's like you're coming. I don't even know what you can say, honestly, during the pressure. Like, hi, I'm here. I'm Will. You guys are you guys, and I'm working with nothing. Thank you. Enjoy next season.
Angel, think about this. Their division. The Royals, Guardians, and Tigers all made the playoffs. The Twins were the last team not to make the playoffs. In that division, everybody's going to be at least 500. There's going to be no 100-win teams. Might be one that wins 90. And the White Sox are rebuilding against that. It's very much like our NL East with the Mets, the Phillies, and the Braves. Notice I put the Braves last. That's where they belong. And the Marlins are always rebuilding. And the Nationals did the tear down after the Strasburg Bryce Harper teams, and they won the World Series when they brought in Scherzer. But they're slowly rebuilding and getting better. So a lot of these, the Mr. Rogers thing, neighborhood,
right?
And White Sox are in for a long, long years of misery.
They are.
Yeah, Angela, you nailed it, especially when it comes to the money, right? So via, pretty much every outlet in Chicago and also through, our boy Trevor down there in the Miami area.
Yeah.
I was made aware fully now that Reinsdorf has consolidated White Sox,
It's another
Bulls,
great point. They're
and
trying to sell the team. Yeah, made them
yeah,
their own cable channel. Yep.
yeah, their own little cable channel, sort of like the Bally things used to do down there, but he made his like Chicago little channel.
Like Nesson and Boston with the Red Sox and the Bruins.
Yeah, so you're cutting your nose off to spite your face, but this guy, right on the same conversation with Jerry Jones about being a controlling, no, like he's just horrible.
Old
He's
school
a
guy in
horrible
a new
owner.
school world, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly, exactly. But yeah,
So
it's
the other
no
thing, and
money.
that's a great point by Duncan Dad, and also the Twins are trying to finally sell their team. They tried to consolidate their team 20 years ago. Not
Mhm.
consolidate the team, fold their team 20 years ago. People forget
Right.
that.
Yep.
And
Yep.
they're historically cheap. They let Rod Carew and a whole bunch of other guys walk when I was a kid. And they're just a terrible, a lot of this is too, and you just talk about Jerry Jones and Reinsdorf. When those guys bought their teams,
Yep.
it was a different world. Like the Maras, the Giants owners, Wellington Mara's father, you know how much he paid for the New York Giants? $500.
Unbelievable.
$500. What are the Giants worth now? Like $8 billion?
I think so.
Good return on your
Jerry
investment there.
Jones,
Exactly.
Jerry Jones had to get a bunch of loans. Didn't he pay less than $300 million for the Cowboys?
Yep.
Mr. Kraft
Yep.
paid around that for the Patriots at the time. So what you're dealing with now, and I do have to go in like 2 minutes, but understand that these old world owners bought the team. Back then, they only had local TV deals and cable. Now everything is streaming. And Duncan Dad just talked about the Bally Sports thing. What you're having happen now, and if the White Sox had good owners, they would be in this group. But the Cubs, the White Sox, the New York teams, the Dodgers, and maybe the Braves and a couple other teams, they would bid on, say, Juan Soto. And, obviously there's a million teams that can't because they don't have the money. But they all do the revenue sharing with the TV from Fox and ESPN or whatever else they have. But then you have your own local TV deals. The Mets, the Red Sox, and the Yankees all have their advantages because they have their own TV deals, their own TV networks. They don't, and these Bally's things. A lot of the teams made the playoffs. The Diamondbacks are the one, but the Braves, the Twins, the Indians, Monarchs, whatever that Guardians, Monarchs, whatever the hell they call them,
Right.
and the Tigers, Texas Rangers are another one. They're on Bally's, so these guys don't have the TV money that the Braves, the Mets, the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers TV deal is different. So there's a big financial structure difference now. And this is the genius of what the NFL did going back to Mr. Barra, because he allowed the revenue sharing. You can have a Green Bay Packers and Indianapolis Colts beating an LA Rams and a big market team. So it's really a strange world, very much like the NIL and portal college world, which I deal with every day. But it's just a completely different world that we're dealing with. These old owners didn't buy into this. I mean, people make fun of the Bengals because they're cheap. Well, they've won a lot being cheap. Could have been a lot of different Super Bowls, like 3 different quarterbacks. But Mike Brown came in the old world, and he's been slow to adjust.
He has. He definitely has. Well, listen, Beef, once again, always
I
appreciate
gotta
you
roll.
coming on.
I'll be back with you at 4 o'clock, buddy. Control these clowns. Fuge, I'm leaving you in charge. Duncan Dad needs a refill. I mean, Angel, don't send anybody to hell because I'm going.
I'll try not to, at least. All right, Beef. I will see you later on. And just like that, he ends up popping away. So
have a good weekend.
I'm pretty sure he will. He's got a busy week and he's got family and stuff in town. So that's why he had to cut out a little bit earlier. He's got a lot of entertaining to do. All right. I want to get into a couple things here, which is Doug Peterson, as the Eagles are coming into town here to Jacksonville, something that he had mentioned, I don't know if this is like Doug, and I don't even want to say shade, but it's kind of offset comments that he would normally say. Here's Doug Peterson. He talked about he briefed Nick Sirianni on the Philly media and not the team when he gave him the advice after taking over our Philadelphia Eagles. This was thanks to the Jacksonville website.
Nick Sirianni said earlier this week that when he took over, you went out of your way to kind transition into that job. Went over the roster with him, I think, a little bit.
I went over the media with him.
Huh?
I went over the media with him.
I bet I know.
Here's who not to talk to.
Yeah.
Why do that? And you know, did you just kind of feel like an obligation to help him out, or just?
I mean, look, it's a tough business, and I can appreciate, you know, a new head coach going in there and what to expect, you know, and you know, it just to be a resource, you know, to be somebody there that's been it. You know, I did it for 5 years, and I was assistant coach there for a long time, and really just to, you know, if you had any questions, to just ask me, you know, you know, it's just a respect thing. It's hard enough to be a head coach in this league.
So it's not like, you know, like I said, not shade per se, Duncan Dad. It's like it's almost like he didn't want to say something negative about Nick, but at the same time he didn't want to say something negative about the Eagles. I mean, it was just weird.
I think the way I interpreted it was Doug's, I guess, his little evaluation, Nick, being like, maybe you're a little immature in the tooth for what you're getting yourself into in Philadelphia. And you're going to be fine eventually, but if you get consumed with the way that the media is going to react to you and treat you, then you're not going to stay focused on your job. Because let's be honest, right? He sort of came out of nowhere to be a head coach in the NFL.
Right.
Right. I mean, coordinator here, wide receivers coach, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he had Peterson. Yeah, he had Reich, all the stuff underneath of it. But this is a different beast to get here. And Doug, he wasn't always enamored and loved by the Philadelphia media. Like, he wasn't always that great guy. The Super Bowl did a lot for him, but there was a lot of critical stuff with him. And, you know, one, he's a former pro athlete. He had been in Philadelphia prior to being a head coach, you know, as an assistant coach coordinator. So, like, he got the whole idea of how this sort of runs down. But is it a little bit of shade? I think it was a little bit like, hey, if you give them an inch, they're going to bite your head off. And if you keep playing into this with your emotions all the time, you know, that the whole conversation they said about sometimes you don't need to let them know everything that's going on, you know, and you don't always need to show your emotion all the time. I think there was probably a little bit of that innuendo in that conversation with Doug and Nick at the beginning, especially when this guy first comes into the building. And the Doug departure wasn't I don't know, if Fuji back me up, like he left, but was it
wasn't on great terms, not to interrupt.
Yeah, it wasn't on great terms. So I'm sure he had a little bit of, you know, little
animosity
he's thrown in there as well.
Is that the word?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Let's see, Duncan Boston Cream, Duncan French Cut. Yeah, I just work on a middle name, put it in there, split it up on side to side. That'd be nice. But it's going to be an interesting game. Eagles, Jaguars. Who is going to show up? Right? Who's going to show up? We talk about this all the time. Is the Jacksonville team that has a lot of this young talent, coached up a little bit. Evan Ingram going to grow off. Eagles keep running the ball, pounding away. We're going to have a lot of A.J. Brown action. I mean, I don't really think Philadelphia's going to have a problem with Jacksonville, but then again, it's the NFL.
All right.
That it is. You have Duncan Dad. I mean, excuse me, Joey B, as he's trying to get a couple things in here. One, he said Duncan Dad needs a middle name on a weekly basis to change it up. Kind of came up with a couple here. One being French Crawler, excuse me, Duncan Dad. Boston Cream, Duncan Dad, Bavarian Cream, and then Raspberry Filled. I mean, it may not be too bad as far as we say.
Raspberry is an underrated preserve.
It sure is. It sure is.
Apple fritter. You like those?
Apple fritter. You like those apples? Oh my gosh.
Penguin EZ says Jags lost Kirk and Thomas Jr. is banged up too. Yeah. It's just, again, Doug's been dealing with a lot. And I don't know, again, if Khan's going to get rid of him, I think it would have been about 2 weeks ago. It seems like now maybe the tune's changed a little bit with Dougie P out there in Jacksonville. And who knows, maybe Khan will talk to him after the season's over and say, listen, here's what we need to do. And he could turn around and just say, if I keep you here to the end of the season, we're going to do a reevaluation at the end of the season. But
sure,
I'll put it out there that come next season, if we start out 1-3, 1-4, 0-3, you're done. Is it fair to say, Duncan Ed?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it runs back to the point where we always bring up, what are you going to get that's better than what you have?
Yeah.
You might not have somebody better available to you right now. And if you are going to give him the reins and do a full rebuild, or you're going to, keep Lawrence there as your centerpiece and continue to build around him, new coach, new identity, new game plan, new vision, that has to be worked in with the GM. Doing that mid-season sometimes, unless it's just a complete dumpster fire and it's going to be a dumpster fire going into the next season and in the next season, then okay, do it. But I don't think you have any better options right now than Peterson down there. He gets the culture, gets the people, gets the quarterback. Let him ride it out. Have your eval, have your sit down, and then like, hey, we parted on good terms. We parted on this term. We're going different directions. Blah 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 blah. It's not like Peterson's going to be out of a job. Somebody pick up the phone and say, "You want to coordinate? You want to be offense coordinator? Okay, come on over." There's six or seven teams right now off the top of my head you can think of. Take Peterson.
I mean, that's not to interrupt. I just think that's kind of like the philosophy with Nick Sirianni right now. I mean, especially now that the Eagles seem like they're heading upward, but who knows? Who knows come Sunday? I mean, you got Dallas next week, 4:30. I mean, this could be a trap game for the Eagles. I mean, there's no, Jacksonville being 2-6. All right, Doug was already here 2 years ago. The Eagles beat them, I think, by 6 or 7 points. But, it's a homecoming for him. Jacksonville's in the tank, but as you were saying, Duncan, Dad, it's any given Sunday, and just hopefully the Eagles won't overlook this game with Dallas. Not only Dallas next Sunday, but it's a short week, and then you got Washington on Thursday night. So you got two big, NFC rivalries coming up in the way Washington, in 4 days in Washington, the way, it's going to come down to them and the Eagles right now for the division. So, hopefully they don't overlook this game and they just come out and just smack Jacksonville right on the jaw.
I'm probably going to get chastised for this across all the social media, but I'm going to say it anyway. We just talked about owners and there being a transition in the way that ownership views its controlling action, with its team from 20 years ago to 20 years present. I think the same thing is happening in the world of head coaches, specifically with the NFL, to where you need a front figure piece, you need the figurehead, but they don't necessarily have to be the one running the offense, the one running the defense. They need to be the one running their locker room, the one controlling the egos, right? We saw this in the NBA. A lot of great X's and O guys, but more so, you wanted a coach that the players, one, were either going to respect, or two, they were going to at least listen to. Because once you get out there, you start playing the game, you can call all the X's and O's that you want. You still have to execute, right? You still have to adjust, you have to overcome. But more and more, we're starting to see this transition to where I just need a guy, be my little face, talk to the players, let everybody do the rah-rah stuff. The athlete has evolved, their attitude has evolved, the money has definitely evolved with it, but are you really that needed? Are you really that necessary when it comes to the meat and potatoes of the game? Now, people say like McVay, people are going to say Andy Reid, people are going to say, Bill Belichick. Those are not for anything. Those are either old guard or those transition guys into today's league. A lot of this is offensive scheme. A lot of this is the defensive scheme. And many times you see these really, really amazing coordinators, then they're thrust into these positions of being a head coach. And there's so much more that comes along with that you see an instant, deficiency in their game plan.
Yep. No, all good valid points. All good valid points. I want to bring up two here before I get into what Coach Harbaugh had mentioned about Deontay Johnson in his first practice. Two last things off from the Eagles here as the show's coming quickly to a close. But Nick Sirianni on how Doug Peterson helped him get acclimated to the Eagles after being fired in 2021. This is credit from NBC Sports Philly.
Nick, you mentioned that on the radio that Doug was helpful to you during your transition to head coach. Can you just expand on that a little bit? Like, in what ways was he helpful?
Yeah, again, I always want to keep conversations that I have with other people private, and I just felt like it was he was helpful with me with people on the roster and how the building is and just everything. I just felt like, you know,
Yep, and that's enough from him. Because again, it's I don't want you turn around, you saying that's a private conversation. For what? He's giving you advice on what to do. It's not like Doug came out there and said, so your marriage is going to go this way, your kid's going to go that way, and you're going to go, Splitsville. I mean, it's not something every head coach has done this. I'm quite sure Belichick, even though he had nothing to do with the Patriots after he was done, he probably talked to Jordan Mayos. Hey, here's what to expect. Here's what's going on. So it's, again, I'm so done with this dude, honest to God.
I want them to succeed, and I want him to be at least accepted as a competent head coach. But you don't want to have a conversation. You want to keep it private, but you're going to go on the sideline knowing Saquon's mic'd up and ask him about his rushing record.
Correct.
Right? You want to have a conversation in private, but yet you're going to come out and chit-chat about how things are going with you and Jalen, right? You're going to, pick one, Nick. Pick one. What do you want to do? You want to be disingenuous one day? You want to be authentic one day? You want to give too much? You don't want to give a little? That's where I feel like the Peterson comments towards him were recognizing and acknowledging his immaturity in this arena that he was going into. And you're going into Philadelphia. I mean, you back in the parking space wrong, people are going to yell at you.
Yep. I'm just not. He's not even a bag of mixed tricks. He's just a bag of mixed mess. It's what it comes down to. But you can't. When I have all these, I'm not sold on. Yes, he came out of, like you referenced earlier, Duncan, that he came out of basically nowhere and then was decided to become the head coach. Again, surprisingly enough, I didn't see it come as far as him taking the Eagles to the Super Bowl. Granted, they ended up losing against KC, but you would have thought you would have just gotten better from that point. But then you want to yell at the KC fans. You want to do all these nonsense. Be a head coach. Dan Campbell is probably the most, prolific head coach that are out there right now because he's about the business. Yes, I'm pretty sure there's times off camera, different things he may, say and act things and do stuff differently. But while he's on, and he's bringing Detroit to a point where they could be Super Bowl contenders. They came up short, come last year, but I'm pretty sure that's the ultimate goal for him to get there. And Nick did not start off this season that well with the fan base, and he continues to just keep putting his foot in his mouth. That's why I'm done. I am so done with him. I can't wait for the Eagles to move on. And I know everybody always says be careful what you wish for, but at this point, it's got to get better because I want a head coach. I want a guy who's going to tell the locker room, here's what the game plan is for the week. Here's where we're going to practice. I picked on a lot on Todd Bowles, but Todd Bowles resurrected a Bucs career. Go ahead, Fuge.
As we all believe, Sirianni's just the front man. And, ever since Lurie got burned by Chip Kelly, it's just pretty much, I believe just as we get back to with Jeff and Howie, calling the shots behind the scenes, what to say, what to do. And, it's basically like when they fired Doug Peterson. He didn't want to get rid of his coordinators and stay on. He left. He backed his coordinator, his coaches, Press Taylor, whoever. And to me, the same philosophy was with Nick Sirianni. Well, we're going to bring in Kellen Moore and we're going to bring in Vic Fangio, and you're just going to be the CEO, and Vic's going to do his thing on the defense, Kellen Moore on the offense. Make a long story short, and you're just going to be the front man, what you say, whatever, you're just the CEO and you're going to let the coordinators take care of business and you're the puppet.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well,
and
go ahead.
That's just the way, the Philadelphia media we're the hardest, we're the most passionate fans. Whether it's New York, Boston, Philly, Chicago, LA, this media will chew you up and spit you out. And I guess getting back to the whole, Sirianni, Doug Peterson situation, Sirianni just walking into the Lions den. And you know how brutal this media is. We will run you out of town if you fail, no matter what sport. We know our sport. We are the most knowledgeable. We're not tooting our own horn. We got ridiculed 1995 when the Jets hired Rich Kotite. The New York media tore the Philly fans apart, and Rich Kotite went 1-15. We know the Jets were getting that boob Kotite. We know what kind of coach he was, another puppet.
I'll tell you one thing. Here you go, another unpopular opinion about the Philadelphia sports thing right now. Yeah, Philly, blah, blah, blah. The fact that Middleton came out right after the series loss, and he said, all of my coaches are coming back. Right? I think one of the things that we keyed on right away was that Thompson had a good run because nobody really took to Girardi. Like, nobody liked his approach. But you need a guy now like a Buck Showalter.
Right.
You need a Bruce Bochy. You need, I hate to say it because I'm not a big fan of Dave Roberts, but I got to give Dave Roberts his flowers now. You need that type of guy to take this team beyond where they're at right now. And he's a great dude. We all love it, blah, blah, blah. But to Fuji's point and to a lot of the other national pundit points, we see it, we call it out, right? Like if we know that your ceiling is, college graduate, blah, 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 like we're going to say that, right? But if we look at some kid or some guy and we're like, oh, she's a doctor, and if that person, like a good eye recognizes the talent because we don't listen to a lot of fluff. We're not sold on, oh, this is the next comings of, Jesus, this next comings in sliced bread. It's like, no. No, I know what this guy can do. I know what this guy can do. Same thing with Kellen Moore. We know he ran a good offense in Dallas, right? They were productive. He had the right pieces. Now, just let him do his thing. Let him do his thing. He might not be your figurehead guy. He might not be the guy to put out there in front of everybody, but let him do his thing. Buy into it. Let him do it. And people are like, oh, no. But a coach is a coach is a coach.
Yeah. Yes. Well, again, we're going to find out. By the end of the season, we're going to find out whether this is worth it or not. We will find out.
I want him to win. I want them to win.
I do too. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time too, he's got to do better. He has to. The accountability starts with him. Period. Before it starts with Jalen and everybody else, it starts with the head coach. All right, two more things here before we end up calling it a day here on the network. One is one of the games we picked out here. Here's Coach John Harbaugh from your Ravens on Deontay Johnson's first practice as a Raven. This is credit to the Ravens website.
Right. Well, Deontay is a guy obviously we know a little bit about, playing against him all those years with the Steelers. Was in Carolina, studied him on tape, looked good. Out here today in practice, looked good. And he's in the process of trying to pick up the offense and be ready to contribute as soon as he can.
I know he hasn't done it in a few seasons, but would you look at him in the return game at all here?
We sure would. Yeah, he's talked about it. He was out there today with the punt returners and just kind of get the rust knocked off probably and help us in that area as well.
All right, and then he finished it up with, if I can pull it back up, because it decided to go away. Not shocking the way things are going. He had one more question here. Let me go back down and find it once again. This was from Denver now. It's saying Bo Nix on a game against the Ravens being a measuring stick game and the challenges he would face against their defense. This is credit to the Broncos website.
Team that has great experience as a playoff team. You guys are trying to get there yourselves. Is there any kind of, measuring stick quality to this type of match?
No, I don't think so. I think it's just one of those games that, is going to be really important for the, the outcome of both of our seasons. And so we know it's important for us, and obviously it's going to be really important for them. So I think in saying that, the game's ultimately pretty big and it's got a lot, going into it.
Bo, could you speak on the challenges that you think Torrey Franklin's B presents to defenses?
I think, whenever you can stretch the field like that, any offense that has that guy, it's tough on defenses because they have to stay back. And when you stay back, they give up some completions underneath, and the run game becomes a little easier. And so it's definitely good to have guys that can run. It's good to have team speed. And, I feel like we're using that to our advantage right now.
Now you can take that either way, right? Because he said and I kind of understand what Bo Nix is saying, but at the same time too, like he's saying that it really isn't a measuring stick. It should be for you as a young quarterback coming into the league. It should be a big measuring stick for you. For Sean Payton, it may not, because obviously he's been around in the league for many, many years. But again, depending on how you handle the question, but overall, not a bad statement by Bo Nix.
Yeah, definitely. I'll echo what Joey B was saying down in the comments if you want to bring it up. Again, one of those kids coming out of college who was able to get a lot of on the field experience against good competition.
Mm-hmm.
He's willing to learn. He's willing to take direction. And right, it is about now having an offensive mind like Peyton. Give him a little bit more, give him a little bit more, give him a little bit more. And confidence, right? You put a little bit of confidence in these quarterbacks' head, starts to get a little more proficient. And he's embraced the role. A lot of these kids, they go to these institutions, they go to these areas, they go to these cities, and they want to be the quarterback. They don't want to be the quarterback. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah,
Sure
like
does.
a lot of people do. Like people, there's so many times you talk to individuals and they're like, "I want to be the guy. I want to be the guy. I want to be the girl. I want to be the girl." And then you're asked to be the guy or asked to be the girl, and you're not.
Correct.
Coaching comes in.
This can be an interesting Sunday. That's for sure. An interesting week of the NFL football. But Joey B says, again, Fuji's jumping in and off the line here. Joey B says, Bo Nix in 3 years, look out, stud. It's his town already here in Denver. And it is his team. He is the guy. Follows it up with Joey B. Payne just slowly letting the leash get longer and longer. Still a limited offense right now. It's a process. And follows up with that one with Bo Nix's athleticism and arm and ability to lead the new generation Elway. Time will tell. That's a good point. Good point, Joey B. Fuji, I just want to know, as we're closing out the show, did you decide to go back to your Metro PCS phone?
No, I'm still here.
Okay. All righty. Just wondering. All right, as we close out the show here, you guys already know we already put in the picks. We thank you all for your comments, your text, your call-ins. As always, I'll make sure I get Gaspam Guy the rest of the picks in so he can be in with the rest of us. Again, you can always end up joining our ESPN Pigskin Pick'em team. Right now, Duncan Dad is in the lead for at least the moment. Even though
I lost on the Texans and the Jets. The week I picked the Jets to lose, the Jets win.
Yeah,
I don't get it. I can't trust the Jets. That's my thing. I just need to stay away from that game, whoever they're playing, and I can't.
Don't feel bad.
Understandable.
Yeah. Joey B says, take care, fellas. Have a great weekend. You too, Joey B. No, I'm the same way too. Last night, matter of fact, the computer locked me out because he was like, don't even pick either or. So I went to go put in my
Lucky
pick.
for you. Lucky for you. I took another loss.
Nah, that's okay. But it's listen, it happens. It's just, it sucks. Go ahead, Fuge.
I was going to say, like we said, the NFL's funny. You never know.
Listen, week in, week out. There's like this. I mean, listen, Tennessee's going to have to be, I don't even know. Do you even call Tennessee a rebuild, or is it just a disastrous more waiting to happen? Because I don't know. I mean, Jeff Fisher, ever since Jeff Fisher's been gone, I understand with Mike Vrabel, and they didn't believe in him. I don't know what the Titans are going to do as far as an organization. That will probably lead on and bleed on until next season, unless something happens during the offseason. Don't know.
Man, right? Like they show up every 4 or 5 years, right? That's the cycle of like the Houston Titans, Tennessee Titans organization. And it's crazy because there is something to be said about it's never going to happen. Right? It's never going to happen. Like the NFL is not going to contract teams, right? But sometimes it just maybe you need to pull the reins in a little bit. I'm just saying, just throwing it out there.
It could.
Well, I mean, Tennessee was good. When they went from Houston to Tennessee under Eddie George, Steve McNair, and Music City Miracle. Under Jeff Fisher. King Henry pretty much was carrying him for, his tenure in the NFL, but it just, what? They have talent on that team. It's just, Will Levis doesn't seem to be the answer. And now you got the guy that was the third string in Pittsburgh for years. Was a Mason Rudolph Duncan dad?
Mason
I don't
Rudolph.
know. I just don't know what's with that.
Tannehill was there. I think one of the great comments that's coming out now, but kudos to Angel for saying it way back when. Kudos to Fuji for saying it way back when. Kudos to probably Joey B and Penguin and all of us real sports individuals out there, not the talking heads. A lot of the former talking heads from the big networks and the mothership or whatever, and I'm not throwing you guys under the bus, but you can definitely see where they drive a narrative of sports proficiency with some of these college athletes. Oh, this guy's the next big guy. He's the next big guy. And they're pushing it on potential as opposed to actual tape and gameplay. Like, if you want that kind of analysis, go follow Brian Baldinger. He will tell you straight out who is going to make it, who is not going to make it. No fluff, right? Like, that's a guy, if you need to follow, go follow him. And say what you want about Orlovsky, whatever. The guy can pull talent. He can pick talent.
He can.
He might not feed into, this guy's the second coming again, blah, 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 blah. But so many times, right? All of these young quarterbacks, we talked about this earlier, previous show. Why are they having so many problems? They're having problems because they're not ready for the league. It's not that they don't have talent. It's not that they don't have highlights. But it's like, are you mentally, physically, emotionally, are you ready to be this person? Or have we blown your stats completely out of proportion? Fuji always says it. Anybody can play in Oregon and throw 55 touchdowns against, the Sisters of the Poor. But now you step up to the big leagues and all of a sudden you're smacked in the face with the fact that you're not the greatest guy in the room anymore. That's a lot. That's a lot to deal with.
Well, just to reiterate, we get into this, it's like Bo Nix. Like, give the guy a full season. Like, look at last year. C.J. Stroud came on. Everybody's Caleb Williams this year, Jalen Daniels. Let's go around the league when the defensive coordinators find the weaknesses and get, on the tapes. Like, look at Jalen Hurts last year. Should have been the MVP 2 years ago. Like last year, all these defensive coordinators basically figured out how to beat them. And, let's not put all these young bucks in Canton or longevity are going to win multiple Super Bowls until you can get it done. Like I said, the defensive coordinators, it's a copycat league, as Brian Baldinger always says. Once you get the tapes and the weaknesses on these quarterbacks, you know how to blitz them or defensive scheme on them.
Yep. All right. Well, with that, we are going to end this show here on a Friday, as we hope that everyone enjoys a great, great weekend, no matter what you guys end up doing. We hope that everyone enjoys it. They have fun, more importantly, and that make sure, as always, you make good choices and take care and love one another. So thank you to Gaspar Guy who called in earlier. Thank you guys for the text, the comments, Joey B, Penguin AZ, Rick Marcus, along with Duncan Dad joining me here live, as well with Fuji on the line. Have yourselves a great rest of your sports week. Have yourselves a great weekend, and then we'll be back at it once again come Monday morning. Duncan Dad, any final thoughts?
Go Birds.
All right, Fuji.
Go Birds.
All right, and with that, go Birds. You guys have yourselves a great weekend.